We're going to speak to our next guest for today, and that is Afia Wahab. She's a teacher and associate editor for the Rabwah Times. Assalamu alaikum, good afternoon, peace be upon you, and welcome to the Draft Time Show, Afia.
Walaikum salam wa rahmatullah. Welcome for having me on the show.
Jazakallah for giving us the time. If I tell you, or if I say terrorism, what image springs to mind when you hear that word?
I see images of explosions. I see deaths. I see burnt properties. I see cars, buses blowing up, and I see heavily armed group of males who are not well groomed and shooting straight bullets up in the air. Basically, images like that.
It's a very doomed picture, isn't it?
Yes.
All right. When after 9/11, this war on terrorism was brought to life, if I can say that, by President Bush at that time. And do you think that the name war on terror is a correct name?
I think the name is correct, but it's the fighting. It's how it's fought, which is wrong. I assume again.
What do you mean by that?
What I mean is, there is a terror going on, especially in the Eastern world. We take our port of departure in Pakistan. We have religious freedom, which is intertwined with extremism, which has led to terrorism. And we have the Pakistani army, which is trying to fight this terrorism. But as there is the big issue of the army leader today, who's being blamed of being Ahmadi.
Yeah.
And the whole situation of the social media perceiving this new army leader and saying that if he becomes the leader of the Pakistani army, they will leave the country and emigrate to India or Bangladesh or other countries. So I mean, it's the war itself is to dissolve this terrorism, but it's not being dealt with correctly.
Yeah. Okay. Do you think that the media is neutral or is fair in their reporting on terrorism? Do you think that sometimes they do exaggerate just a little bit? I mean, they do show the pictures, but everything else, the reporting, the information that they give is a little bit hyped up.
Well, absolutely. I absolutely think that the media presents what people want to hear or what the government wants them to say. So it's basically colored by whoever wants to listen to them.
No, that's certainly the case if you listen to some of these Pakistani news channels. I mean, to be very honest, when I watch some of them, and I have to when my dad is there, it seems like Pakistan is going to go down just in a few hours. That's the last hours of Pakistan just being there on the surface of the map, and it's going to disappear by the day of I don't know, in a day or two. Do you think that terrorism is in Pakistan to stay?
Well, if we take a point of departure in the infrastructure of Pakistan, there is a huge rate of unemployment, there's a huge lack of education, then yes, absolutely. Because education and employment is something that will be able to fight the terrorism itself. But there is a huge Islamization, there's a huge Talibanization, if you can say that. There are madrasas. The whole education is pointing towards extremism, and extremism it leads to terrorism. So for now, yes.
Okay. As far as the government is concerned, do you think that they have learned in the past from some of the attacks that have happened? I mean, it's just getting bigger. And more violent by the day, isn't it? And it seems like the governments can't really do anything. They haven't learned anything, and quite frankly, they don't want to do anything about that.
But that's the point but that's the way that the government of Pakistan is working. It's a very selfish government. They, in Danish, there's a phrase saying they broom in front of their own door. and no one else's doors. So they want to make their own house look clean, but whatever's outside, they don't want to do anything about that because it's not beneficial for themselves, the politicians themselves. And the mullahs are using their position to exploit the people who are already desperate. They're already angry because of the unemployment, because of the lack of education, and they are most likely easier to work around with and to exploit.
Okay. Afia, just lastly, what 3 adjectives, I mean, it's pretty much the same question as in the beginning, but what 3 adjectives would you choose to describe terrorism?
I would say it's inhuman, cold, fearful.
All right. Afia, Jazakallah, thank you very much for your time. Afia Wahab, teacher and associate editor for the Rabwah Times, was with us on the line. Jazakallah once again.